Hello again, it's Noob, and many of you watching this video will already be aware of these amazing picks designed by Moki and available on his website mockworkshop.de. Now, I really like these picks. They're made of a extremely high quality, high yield 301 stainless steel, but they have a unique selling point and feature. You can probably see what that is. There is, of course, a pick this side, a really nice long handle, which even in my slightly large hands feels very comfortable and supported on the crook of my hand here. But there is another pick profile just at the end. Why? Well, no matter how good a pick is, we're dealing with very thin, albeit very strong, steel. All metal eventually, when worked enough, will fatigue and eventually fail. Now that could be many years in advance, but when it does, normally what you'd be left with is a broken pick on one end and a handle which otherwise may be useless. Moki thought about this and thought, well, couldn't we use part of the handle which would otherwise just be a blank piece of metal and make it into a pick which, if this side ever failed, ever fatigued, ever broke, then you could make a exact copy of the profile from the other end of the pick, flip it round, and you'd have a slightly shorter handle and a fully working pick tip. So what's the best way of making a new pick tip, assuming that this side had failed? First, just what not to do. This is strong steel. It is quite brittle, but it is strong, and you might be tempted to just see whether you can use metal fatigue to get the things to snap off, and you might be able to do this, but it's not really recommended because one, it could be dangerous, and two, it might just leave you with sharp edges you need to file down anyway. You theoretically could do this. Do I recommend this? No. You can already see that I'm imparting a curve to the pick just by trying to do this, so don't do this. Instead of doing that, I'll show you two different ways to make a nice working pick. So first of all, do I need any power tools? The answer is technically no, but you are going to make your life more difficult. If you don't have any power tools, you can just use files and or snips to cut through the little forks either side of the pick profile. Same when it comes to this end. This approach, however, will leave you with some quite difficult filing. I cannot express how hard this steel really is when it comes to filing it down. So whilst you can do this and you can use files and hand tools, this is again not really recommended. So what do I recommend? The best results will be from using a rotary multi-tool like this to cut through that metal and leave a better finish, which will leave you with less manual filing to get a really nice edge. As ever, if you're going to be using a rotary multi-tool, please make sure you wear appropriate protective equipment, including an eye mask and a face mask, especially if you're using a silicon or silica based abrasive disc like this, because you don't want to be breathing in any dust or getting anything in your eyes. What I'd recommend you do is take a non-broken pick, overlay it like this, and then just trace out using a pen either side of this the shape of the non-broken pick. You can then use your rotary multi-tool to just cut away quite close to the line, then file down until that line is fully gone. And even though we're cutting away from the pick tip, probably best to just quench as you go to make sure that you don't overheat the metal. I'm using an abrasive cutting disc, and that does leave a rough edge, so use some fine files to just smooth that off. If you wanted a better finish, you could just rub a little bit of 800 or 1000 grit wet and dry paper up and down here as well, just to make it even nicer. Or even a nail emery board like this. To shape the broken end of the pick, you can actually use the piece you've just snipped off or cut off or ground off or filed off. Take a permanent marker just trace the outline nicely around like this, then shape and file to your taste. If done correctly, you'll have a very nicely finished and very usable pick profile, which can be used as a shorter pick like this, or put into a pair of handles like this, and it will look no different to any of your other picks. So just for comparison, here are two almost identical pick profiles, one of which has been modified from a broken pick and one is just as it was originally. And I think you can say that there's no real noticeable difference. Even with just 5 minutes of work, that at a glance, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you if one was originally broken or not. If I looked really closely, depending on my degree of finishing, I might be able to see that there are some little artifacts from my filing or sanding. But other than that, you just wouldn't be able to tell. They pick the same, they feel the same. If you do look at the handles though, you'll see that obviously there is a little gap in the handle where the metal that was there has been snipped away, so that would have been in here, of course. Other than that though, yeah, you won't really find there's any difference between the two when you're using them. So I hope you found that informative and that you now have a better idea about how you might want to approach fixing a broken Moki pick and making it look as good as new. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, now's a great time to do so. If you want to watch more content like this. Otherwise, happy picking, stay safe, and I'll see you all next time.